The one thing that I'm very disappointed about is that I went out on a competition like this. And for the question that everybody wants to hear. All right, we are back for yet another episode of Pinkbike Academy Behind the Scenes with yours truly. This is episode number 6, and well, as you can see, I'm wearing my best attire today. Today is Judgment Day. Spoiler alert, if you haven't already watched episode 6, you should go watch that first, because I am going to have quite a few spoilers in this edition of BTS. Okay, now that you're done with that, you're back. We're ready to dive in. A couple things on today's list. We're going to be talking about, do I think my elimination was fair? Do I feel it was warranted to be eliminated? What would I have done differently if I got a chance to do it over again? And most importantly, the number one question I get asked on the interwebs, did I get to keep the bike? All right, well, with that being said, I should get this off my chest ahead of time. This is my third time trying to record this video. This is not my first. These are not my initial genuine reactions. I did my first edition, but I didn't really talk very much during it. I ended up just soaking in the video, sitting in it and thinking about things. And then when I went back and tried to do it the second time, everything was great. I feel like I really nailed it, but I forgot to hit record on the audio button. YouTube rookie mistake. Okay, with that being said, V3, episode number 6. Whoa! Sorry about that. Had to go close the door to the laundry room. Forgot I was washing clothes. Was making a lot of noises I didn't like. With that note, let's dive in.
Last time on Pinkbike Academy, the contestants faced a rude awakening.
Come on!
Let's up the ante a bit.
By the way, for some reason, if you haven't been here for the rest of the episodes, this is episode number 6. You should go back, check out right here, and check out the actual playlist. Go dive in and see what I had to say during episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Because there's been 5 so far.
But it's a double elimination. It all happens right now on the Pinkbike Academy, presented by Shimano.
Team elimination today. Brutal. It's the third time I've watched this and I'm still nervous.
Well, Christina, Jason is not here. We're not gonna look for him for like a whole day. I think we're gonna get started.
He was making some pretty weird noises in the bathroom this morning, so.
The ability for the judges to
In the words of Jason,
provide some comic relief throughout the week was very relaxing, I should say.
doing a teamwork challenge that will include some clues along the way in
The
order
tensions were really high all week, so it was nice to have just breaks of comedic relief. Like this one.
Love it. Good job, Jason. I think he came up with that on his own. All right. So good. We did a random draw to pick the first 3 team members, Angie, Joe, and Vlad. But you still need to obtain your second team member. So there are some bottles hidden in the lounge, around the lounge here. In the bottles are the names of the other competitors, or teammates in this case. The name that you find is your team member. You guys ready to find some bottles?
Sure.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Nothing in there.
No, no. Empty.
Whoa, you guys are good.
I have.
I wanted it.
And that guy over there?
I know that Ben cares so much about this, and I know that I have a responsibility to show up for him and to try hard in the challenge.
Actually, guys, that was the competition, so only one team moves on.
Addison. Yeah.
Hey.
Vladison team is on. Vladison back in the game.
I was very happy to be with Vlad. We've developed a really good relationship, and we know each other's strengths and weaknesses at this point, so we can kind of play off of them together. So teamwork between us just works very fluidly.
Evan!
One big thing here is a lot of people are asking, this was genuine. Like, this was really random. There were probably 15 to 20 water bottles around the area that we were hanging out in, and they literally just picked random water bottles. So this selection process, at least this half of it, was completely random. I just happened to end up with Vlad, which I was stoked on. It was awesome.
Sorry, I was so slow.
I was instantly worried that I was going to impact my teammate negatively because I am a bit slower.
Got a couple of keys for you guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
To spice it up. Each team get a car, and you get all the information you need at your car.
Sweet.
Hope you know how to read.
Contrary to popular belief, I'm actually sitting at the challenge finish line. Team
So at this point, we had a little bit of time between when they shot that segment and when we actually got to go to the cars. We were all sitting around kind of trying to take pics at what we were actually going to be doing through the day. Mine was that we were going to mix this day and then 2 episodes from now when they, spoiler alert, shot the GoPro videos. I thought that we were going to have the cars and maybe a few hours to go shoot a GoPro edit. So I was almost on the money, just 2 days too early in that pick.
teams will have to pack their bikes into their cars and then drive to a specific location. Once there, they'll have to build each other's bikes and then race to find me. In the cars, there's no talking, windows must stay closed, and you can't drive faster than 30 kilometers per hour. Fastest team to the finish line, while following all the rules, wins. Oh, and one more thing.
There's another one. What does it say? Oh. Today is a team elimination. So keep that in mind.
That moment was pretty brutal. One, it came as a complete shock. We had no idea that was going to happen. But 2, which is kind of ironic now, I was so stoked. I was like, oh man, we got Vlad. This is going to be it. We're going to do absolutely awesome. This is going to rock.
So before we go, you need to know how we're going to judge you. We're not going to judge you only on the speed and how fast you go. We're going to judge you on how you work as a team.
Good teamwork for me is just discussing tactics with the person you're set to work with and making it work best for the two of you. So whether that's sticking together or splitting up to conquer.
She's going to have eyes everywhere. We're going to ride our bike. We're going to have GoPro everywhere. So we're going to know everything.
As soon as the double elimination card got dropped, my heart kind of sank. Vlad has had a bad few days. I've been running pretty mid-pack, but staying consistent, so I knew that this was it.
Based off of the previous results of the previous candidates that got eliminated, they were all the people that finished last.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
The challenge today was an interesting one. I think mimicking like getting to an airport and having to squeeze a bike into a rental vehicle kind of thing.
It is 100% a mistake to only focus on time. If you finish first, you feel like you've won, even though the judging criteria isn't just about time. It makes more sense to make sure you're not breaking any of the rules because that'll hurt you just as badly.
So I gotta give a little bit of perspective to the interviews that they're doing. All these interviews were after the challenges were finished for the day. And there was, well, you could cut the tension with a knife. It was extremely high. Joe was very emotional because she thought that she lost the challenge for Evan. Vlad and I were emotional because of a clip that they show that you'll show you later of them explaining to us what we did wrong. Everyone broke some rules, so the tension was very, very high, and it changed the atmosphere at the Academy a lot, at least during this day. Everyone was coming up with reasoning for what they did, why they did it. Everyone had to have a reason, whether it was made up or not. Everyone had a reason for what they were doing, what they had done, why they did it. So the tension at this point in time was extremely high, and these interviews were interesting, to say the least.
The challenge today was pretty fun. It was very unusual.
I don't know how to get it open.
That's a funny mark, actually. So Vlad just happened to have gotten a rental car like this a week or so prior to the event. So he happened to know where the latch for the rear seat was, because all three teams were searching frantically for it. And then Vlad just comes up to me and pulls the tab. It's actually just inside of the trunk, which is a very, I guess, odd place for the seat release to be. So we got really lucky that Vlad just happened to get one of these rental cars a couple days before. Hold on. Okay, you must unbuild your bikes and make them fit in the trunk of your rental car. Your next clue is in the car. You can open it. Rules, you cannot talk. Oh. Get out of the car real quick.
Okay, get back in. I just want to restart.
A good teamwork for me is a great understanding and respect to each other. I was very happy with the Vladison team.
We clearly have one team that has a head start.
So.
Now it's fresher than this is way wet.
A couple clips back there, you saw myself get Vlad to get out of the car. When I reread the rules, I had already read the rules outside of the car, but when I want to remember something, I read the rules out loud, or I read something out loud. It just helps me remember it, which is why as soon as I got in the car, I started reading the rules. Of course, no talking in the car, should remember that. But when I got out of the car, or got told Vlad we should get out of the car, I just wanted to get out, do a mental reset, start over, start on the right foot. That's what getting out of the car was all about. I just wanted to get out, reset, start over, and carry on with the task. And then we end up here at this point.
We can see how the handle the pressure.
Nice. That's it.
Are these ours? No, those aren't.
No.
And keep it together as a team.
Yep. Nice.
I think it is important to have a good teamwork, but it's not the number one thing.
That one was hard. The don't exceed 30 kilometers an hour. That was I didn't think we broke that rule. But then again, I didn't think we broke other rules later on, so who knows? But I don't know if I agree with that one. I told him to slow down because he accelerated really fast. But I don't think we ever actually went over 30 kilometer an hour. Maybe 31, but yeah, I don't think so. Oh well.
Of course, if you are a, I don't know how to say head with other words. Can I say head?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sick.
I love that.
Oh, helmets. Helmets, both of our helmets. We definitely had a couple little mistakes, but nothing like actually serious, just like a couple small things. That would have sucked to forget.
Crushed it.
Seatbelt. Let's go. Good.
Cool, yeah, we're good to go.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Man, Ben just can't shut up.
Yeah, it was
Keeps
definitely
talking.
hard to remember to be under like the 30 kilometers an hour, no talking, you're trying to hurry, so it's hard to make sure that you're actually following all the rules.
I can see why they chose to create a challenge like this to demonstrate aspects of teamwork and to follow the rules.
Joe and I worked together pretty well, I think. We didn't have any difficulties with loading bikes or anything like that.
The rules are definitely the most important part of the challenge. However, when the time starts, it is hard to...
See, that's an instance that I was referring to earlier with the interviews, is everyone kept talking so heavily about rules because the competition was already over and they had made it apparent that the rules were the most important part, which, as you heard at the initiation of the challenge, Fabian didn't talk about the rules being the #1 criteria for the day. In fact, in that clip, he didn't even mention it. So
We remember the rules, and sometimes you get a bit flustered. We're really conscious of the rules. Our best part was that we had really smooth communication.
So actually a funny part here, I don't know if it's funny, but a part here, Vlad and I, just before this clip, were way ahead, probably 2 minutes ahead or so. But when it said go to the fire station, we went to the physical fire station. We went into the parking lot, parked, but there was no one there. And because we couldn't talk in the car, I saw people up on the hill, up the gravel road past the firehouse, and I assumed we were supposed to go there, but communicating that to Vlad was being difficult and not working so well. Finally, I got his attention that there were people up on the hill, but we lost easily 1.5 minutes there. That was very frustrating because Ben and Angie pulled up right behind us after we got back out on the road. So then instead of being 2 minutes ahead, we were now all 3 teams essentially together going into the next step of the challenge, which really rattled my nerves. I don't know if it rattled Vlad's nerves, but it definitely rattled mine in the fact that I had a pretty commanding lead, and after this mess up, that slowed us down a lot and really killed that lead, unfortunately.
Pop the trunk, Vlad.
So let's just read these rules here. The rules, specifically. You can give tips and advice. You can't physically touch your own bike. Your teammate is responsible to bolt check your bike before you take off. Okay. When I read that last rule, I read it as, because it was actually worded a little differently on the physical card, I believe. My memory is a little shoddy, which is going to bring up a very good point here in a few moments. But I read it as you need to build your teammate's bike and bolt check your bike. That's how I read it in my head. But apparently it said something along the lines of you need to build your teammate's bike and bolt check the bike. In my head, that didn't make sense because as a bike mechanic, you don't double check your own work. It's kind of counterintuitive. It's like proofreading your writing. Doesn't really do much good. You just wrote it, you know. So it's always good to have someone else double check your bike. So that's why when I read that rule, I read it as you're responsible for bolt checking your own bike, which is where I made my #1 mistake of the day.
You need to build your teammates' bikes. Okay, get them out. We can't touch our own bikes.
I do not actually remember the bottom 4 rules.
Can't touch our own bikes.
I remember. This brings up a very pivotal moment for me in a lot of things. So after this challenge, or even at the end of this challenge, I would have told you without any doubt in my mind that that rule was not on the card. And I continued that for Well, up until I watched this video for the first time and saw that I read that rule on the card. Which brings up a very good point in being, well, a professional or under stress in any sense, is your mind's ability to suppress something that you don't want to be there. Your mind suppresses it and basically makes it non-existent. I 100% thought that that rule did not exist. And then as soon as I watched this video and saw that note of me reading that card, I remember clear as day telling Vlad that we couldn't touch our own bike, so he had to grab mine and I would grab his. I remember that clear as day, but if you would have asked me 30 minutes after shooting this video about that rule, I suppressed it and completely had no idea. Which brings up a great point of I'm going to do a second episode on this episode. It's going to be episode 6.5. I'm going to dive in deep with my sister. So my sister has worked in the psychology field for 10 or so years. She has her master's. She's working on her doctorate. She's a very intelligent woman and knows what exactly it is that causes suppression and the mental struggles that go into being a professional athlete or an athlete of any sort in high stress situations. We're actually going to dive in deep on that, but that'll be in episode 6.5. It won't come tomorrow. It will come at some point in time. We got to work our schedules out, but that's going to be a very interesting episode on the psychology and the stresses that go into being a professional athlete.
I remember reading them, but did not actually remember them to memorize them.
Hey, Joe's was open too.
For an enduro mountain biker to be able to follow the rules and to work as a team, because that is what a lot of enduro road series are.
Fine, I'll grab yours. And then we're each responsible for a bolt check.
A bolt check?
Yeah, so just to make sure everything's tight.
Learning from your mistakes is definitely important, but it's hard to learn sometimes when you're
so note
so
that
competitive
there.
and you want to win and you're trying to do your best, but even those little mistakes can cost you.
And then note that there. So once I initially saw this video, I had a lot of emotions going on, but the big thing that they make a deal about is me touching my own bike. That's the number one thing they make a big deal about. But Evan and Ben both touched their own bikes too, which is it was disappointing to see that. I didn't know that both of them had touched their own bikes. Now granted, they didn't bolt check their bike, but they still touched it, and that was the rule that I broke. So that was a little disappointing to see that they made such a big deal out of that one rule, but other athletes did it too. Interesting.
Biking, do you want to just sort our tires and wheels?
You got this, Vlad. Just take your time. Take your time. Breathe. Every time we got a new set of notes that we read all the way through the notes before we got going. So I did do a double check. When you're in a hurry, sometimes small things get missed. Your teammate is responsible to bolt check your bike before. Okay, so I'm responsible for your bike. Double check everything on mine. Check the rear axle. That's the important part. That's what you took off. Okay, double check the stem just for giggles. All right, can you turn my Garmin on?
The wheels are ready.
Okay, so you're good. I just need to check. Okay.
So this is actually a funny scene to me because they flip-flop this. So I had already double-checked Vlad's work before I reread those rules again. So this is kind of flip-flop, which I think is funny in perspective, but I didn't read the rules and then go directly back to my bike and work on it. I didn't do that. The roles were flipped, but the same thing happened regardless.
There's a few people who are always going to be faster than me, so it's not my first go-to to finish first. But that being said, I'm going to try as hard as I can to go as fast as I can, because that's just what we do as racers.
I don't think it's a mistake to focus on timing, because we're all athletes as well too, and that's a huge part of our life, is being the fastest.
It says, using Trailforce Garmin, he has located a saved GPS location correspondence to the year your pink bike was created. Year pink bike, 98.
I was really proud of that moment because again, as before, I read too fast. That's something I do, is I read too fast and sometimes skim things and miss things. You heard that I read it as the year your pink bike was created, when in actuality it was the year pink bike was created. It's amazing how your mind plays tricks on you, right? And then I got it finally, and then I knew it was 1998. I don't know how I knew it, but that was a feel-good moment that I remembered it was 1998. And you saw I whispered it to Vlad versus you hear the other team later on just kind of blurt it out loud. I was trying to stay secretive because I really wanted to win this one. Not just for winning, but because I'd come close so many times but never actually gotten a win. So I really wanted this one. Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on. So we need to figure out what year Pinkbike was created.
1998, you said?
Yeah. All right, you ready?
This way? Do we have to reach that together, or you can go ahead?
We'll have to get there together, I believe.
Quickly, hop on yours, start pedaling.
That brings up a good point that Fabian, when he was saying what we were going to get judged on, he made a big point of it being a team competition. So throughout the entire day, I tried to work it as best a team competition as possible, which for me in this instance was do what you're good at and let your teammate do what they're good at. But I also wanted to reach the next waypoint together as a team because I thought that that would be a big deal. Again, ironic, as you'll see later. But I really wanted to work together. I wanted to stay with Vlad and make sure we did it as a team.
Get on the gas, baby, let's go.
No, typically I don't think I skip steps. I think I did pretty well at the rest.
Just as a note, because you hear what I'm saying there, the front car that you see there with the doors closed and no tools next to it, that was our car. We took care of everything. One of the things they told us that they want us to close all the doors in the car, obviously, so people don't hit the doors or whatever. But we did that. All our doors were closed. I was proud of that still. Little things in life.
The steps, I think we followed the rules pretty to a T. We might have messed up a little bit. I know at the beginning we had a couple hiccups, but we resorted ourselves and regained traction. I think we actually did pretty well according to the rules.
Play button is at the top?
Yeah. Yeah, so I screwed up in that instance. I misread the rules because when I'm in a bike shop, I always have my coworker double checking my work, because if you double check your own work, it's kind of like proofreading your own writing. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't do any good. So that's where, in my head, I just went back to a bike shop where you always double check your partner's work.
Okay, he's not too far. You're good, buddy. Remember, this elimination is important. Hike it out. Don't try and ride, we'll waste energy. We don't know how long this goes.
Yeah, Joe.
See, there's a good instance of I was trying to coach and help Vlad through it, because climbing is obviously not his strong suit. We've seen it earlier in the week, so I wanted to make sure that I gave him some tips, that I tried to coach him through it, that I was trying to be the best teammate that I could possibly be, and make sure we both got to the top in a solid, timely fashion. And it worked out very well, actually.
You got it, keep it up.
I thought that we'd be doing an all day.
So the judges aren't this much faster than us. Granted, both of them are shredders, but they're on e-bikes. That's why they're going so much faster than us up the hill. They needed to get from spot to spot very quickly, so they both had e-bikes to jump around us.
He sort of adventure scavenger hunt, and I was a little bit hungry, so I ate a full bar right before a sprint. Not a good idea.
Go ahead and get it.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna puke.
Yeah, really bad.
Angie, they're right there. We got them. Let's go. Come on, we got this. Put in the pedal.
I feel like a lot of this week has been tasting blood in my mouth and just trying as hard as I can. But Ben was an incredible partner, and he was like my little cheerleader, but a little harsh cheerleader, so I wouldn't want to slack off too much.
Come on, Angie, you got it. You're gonna get a break soon. Let's go.
See you, Addison.
Breathe, Vlad, you got this, dude.
Help! Help! I've been lost for hours.
Okay.
Oh, you found me.
You got a note for us?
You're done.
We're done? Yes. Yeah, bud! Yeah, buddy!
You found me.
Yes! Nice work, man. Nice work.
So this is a very, very ironic moment in time, but we have finally won. Both of us, Vlad had gotten out of the bottom, I had gotten out of the middle rut, and finally won one. We were so happy. That's all I wanted, was to win one. Oh, very ironic looking back. I want to cross that 4 off. Doesn't really matter because, as you see later, the other teams didn't break 3.
Go.
They're right there. I can see them. They're stopped, so that means we're done. Let's go.
Hey, Jason!
You found me. Oh, thank goodness.
Ooh, we were worried about you.
I was out here all alone. Scared.
You got this, Angie. All you, all you.
Thanks,
All right, right there. Let's go.
So when Evan got up there by himself, we were all really confused for the first few minutes. Like, wait, what about, this is a team competition. Where's Joe? And he
Where's your
answers that
teammate?
question.
She wanted me to come ahead to find the next clue.
We're done. This is the finish
Oh,
line.
no.
You gotta both be here.
I was kind of worried that would happen.
I'll watch for riders. Good job, go. Keep it up.
We got Ben and Angie coming up the hill together. Evan's going to get Joe. She appears to be further down the hill. We got 2 riders though. Ben and Angie finishing strong.
Let's go.
Yeah, Joe.
Sorry. Where do we go now?
Yeah, we got it, Joe.
Stellar work.
Nice work, bud.
Good job, guys. High fives.
Jeebus.
Oh, stop. How you feeling?
Oh man, these
So they broke 2 rules.
are really killing me.
Oh, you crushed that one.
Good work, Joe.
I'm sorry, I'm
Almost
done.
there. No reason to be sorry. Yeah, Joe, dig deep.
You got this! Finish it!
Yeah, good push.
Yeah!
You okay?
Take a rest if you need it. You guys are done now.
Stomach cramping?
2 rules also.
My stomach.
Oh, that's the worst.
I always do say this jump on it right here.
My whole goal for coming to this challenge was to not cry. But anyways, yeah, Evan's just such a sweetheart. Like, he instantly helped me out, and sorry. Like, I wouldn't be the rider I was today without help from guys like him. Yep.
No, to be disappointed or mad at Joe would be pretty ignorant of me. Like, she put in her best effort. We were put in, the teams were random, so there's nothing, no reason for me to be mad at Joe.
How badly do you think he deserves to win this time?
So bad. I really don't want him to lose because of me.
Joe was really distraught all afternoon about this because we didn't know what percentages the judging criteria was on. Everyone kept thinking it was going back to racing, and being a team, yeah, it was hard because we didn't know what the percentage of judging criteria was on this. But everyone, as I said earlier, was under extreme tension and very distraught all afternoon after we finished this challenge.
Triangle.
Thank you for rescuing me, everyone. Good to see ya.
Except Vlad and I at this point, because we're super stoked because we finally won a contest.
Can we use you as a trampoline?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's just go back to the academy. First of all, it's awesome to be back with you guys. Let's start at the beginning.
I have to say, they were all fired up.
Sabotage.
Yeah, tension. You could feel the tension. Everyone was ready.
Joe and Evan, Angie and Ben, they immediately went to the car read the information. Addison and Vlad, however, just kind of grabbed all their gear. They were flustered and they weren't focused on what the cards said.
I think they didn't understand that this challenge was not about the time, even if I told them.
Big rule in the car. No.
I think that's a false narrative. Vlad and I grabbed our bikes and then we went straight to the hood of the car before we did anything with our bikes and read the rules. You can see it right there, we did. And then I read the rules, went through, saw we needed to put the bikes in the car. So I got Vlad to start disassembling the bikes. He went to the back of the car, started disassembling them. I read through the rules and then proceeded to help him with figuring out how to fit the bikes in the car, put down the rear seat, as we all had trouble with earlier. So I think that's a little bit of a false narrative. Disappointed to hear that we got Judgment in that way because we weren't flustered. We were very in control, took the bikes apart in a very timely, orderly fashion. We made sure we had all of our parts in the car. Vlad's wheels were marked as Vlad's wheels. My wheels were marked as my wheels. We had all our axles, we had all our bags, our helmets, everything. So, a bit disappointed with that judgment because I don't feel it was fair, but is what it is.
No talking. Who abided by it? Who didn't?
The only people that did abide by that rule were Joe and Evan. Evan, contacted Joe and said, hey, when we get in the car, no talking.
You can see like Ben and Angie, Ben excited, get in the car and say something.
Okay, yeah, start reading that.
On the other side, we had Addison that was like, he get in the car and he started reading out loud again the same rules that they had outside.
Rules, you cannot talk. Oh. Get out of the car real quick.
So then they drive, they get to the tool stands. How did that go?
There was a lot of fumbling around for sure. Like they were looking for axles. They were trying to figure out whose wheel was whose. But unfortunately for Addison and Vlad, again, they did break a rule.
Okay, so you're good? I just need to check?
We told them you can only work on your teammate's bike. You can only bolt check your team.
That was actually not a rule. You can only work on your teammate's bike. It didn't say that. As we look back to the rules now, I disagree with it saying that. It said I couldn't touch my own bike, but the other people did the same thing. So they make a big deal out of that one, which I wish they wouldn't have. I know it's got to be dramatic, but it's a little disappointing they make such a big deal out of me touching my own bike when two of the other athletes did the same thing.
Teammate's bike?
Addison, I think, visualizes the finish line, and it's just however he gets there, it's like, I'm going to get to that finish line. Ben and Angie, very close behind. What was that sort of dynamic like, getting up that hill?
There, Ben really took the brother role and really looked after Angie, so that was good.
And then we saw Evan, or I saw Evan, and I didn't see Joe.
Where's your teammate?
So I was like, oh no.
And in my head, I was like, oh man, he just totally dropped his teammate.
Just go ahead and get it.
Okay, cool.
But then when we went back and we realized what had happened, Joe, she said, you go ahead, you get the next clue. And then as soon as he got to the top and realized that, that was the finish line, he dropped his bike, he ran back down the hill, he grabbed Joe's bike and he...
Carried her bike up the hill.
Yeah.
Good work, Joe.
I'm sorry,
Almost there.
But some people are going home today. It's a double elimination, first one.
For me, it's not just about our opinion. I think it's about making a statement also that there's some rules and it's applied for everyone.
Okay, well, it sounds like I have some words to say to some people, and you guys get to go relax again. Home today, it's a double elimination, first one.
For me, it's not just about our opinion. I think it's about making a statement also that there's some rules and it's applied for everyone.
Okay, well, it sounds like I have some words to say to some people, and you guys get to go relax again.
Before we dive into the actual chopping block, I gotta talk about it. So, it's a double-edged sword. I don't agree with the way they placed the judgment because I think it was a bit of false narrative in the fact that I did the same thing that Ben and Evan did. So I don't think for them to cast judgment on that specifically was such a fair way to do it. But at the end of the day, when you break it down analytically, and I'm trying to be unbiased, obviously I've got a lot of emotions in this, so I want it to sway one way, but I'm trying to take this from an unbiased standpoint. I'm just looking at it as it actually happened. Unfortunately, other teams, no matter how many times they broke those rules, they broke 2 individual rules. So if you look at it from an analytical, unbiased perspective, I can't blame the judges for the decision that they made. Do I like it? No. But it is what it is. Like, did what I did, and the judges were put in a very difficult situation with this challenge. So let's take pink bike polls, who people think should win. If you look at the average top 3, you see Ben, Evan, and myself in 3rd. Well, they had all 3 of us on different teams that day. So no matter what happens or who goes home, according to who the people think should win, Pinkbike had to eliminate one of those top 3. So that's not an easy decision. So the fact that they took it from an unbiased perspective and just did it analytically, like, I've got to give it to them on that. It is what it is. I'm not mad about it.
I want to start off by saying thank you. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know where I'd be on the mountain right now. Today, our judges looked at the ability to follow rules, your teamwork, and your attitude. It was an unorthodox race, probably one that you were not used to. That was quite obvious because you all made mistakes. As you all know, today is a double elimination. Joe, Evan, please step forward.
So one quick note real quick. Typically on the day of, we all kind of had a sense of who was going to get eliminated that day. Like, we all knew or had an idea of who it at least might be, like who was probable. Going into this elimination, we didn't know. We didn't think it was going to be Angie and Ben because they kind of flew mid-pack, but we either thought it was going to be Evan and Joe or myself and Vlad. Which this realization moment hit hard like a hammer in just a second.
You were the final team to reach me today. But the judges were really impressed with your teamwork and the ability to follow the rules. You are safe.
And this is the moment when Vlad and I knew it was us.
Ben, Angie, Addison, Vlad, please take a step forward. Both of your teams broke the rules today. Addison, there was a point when you and Vlad were building your bikes.
Okay. Okay, so you're good? I just need to check. Okay.
And you decided to work on your own bike. What happened there?
I read the envelope. It said build each other's bikes, so I did that. I misread bolt check bike. Any bike mechanic gets double check on his work, so I thought we were supposed to double check each other's bikes. I was just being a responsible mechanic.
Angie, the judges really noticed you looked frazzled today.
I don't know how to get it open.
You got this, Angie.
Did Ben carry you through this challenge?
No, I don't feel like he carried me. I knew the answer to the pink bike question, and I built Ben's bike, and I feel like our communication was really good, and I was a strong ascender up the trail.
Angie, they're right there. We got them. Let's go.
So I'm happy with how I performed.
Do you agree with that, Ben?
Of course, yeah. She was killing it.
Guys, this was a tough decision. The judges reviewed all the GoPro footage And it really came down to following the rules. With that said, Vlad, Addison, your time at the Pinkbike Academy has come to an end.
I screwed up. I feel bad for Vlad because I screwed up his competition, trying to be a responsible racer. I'd never drop in a World Cup run without testing my own bike and making sure it's up to my standards. And I didn't know what we were getting into, so. I'm definitely not happy with leaving the academy the way I do right now.
I did have something to add. Please do not consider yourselves losers today. Addison, I think it's fair to say that someone with a gravel racing background, it's pretty impressive you made it this far in the competition.
I've lived the professional lifestyle before, and I truly loved it. I was sad to see it go. Thanks, man, for everything. Oh, thank you. And this was my kind of last stab at it. I wanted to see if I could get it back.
Man, okay. Now that we're done with that, I've just got to be real. At the end of the day, regardless of how you break down what we broke more rule than the other teams broke too. It just comes down to mathematics. The judges had a very difficult decision to make that day. They didn't want to see anybody go home. At least I can't imagine they did. I didn't want to see anybody go home. We had an amazing group of 6 riders there. It just gets harder and harder every week. The one thing that I'm very disappointed about is that I went out on a competition like this. If I would have gone out on a race where I knew I was undergunned against the other riders, so be it. I would have been happy to walk off it. To go off on I call it a technicality, they call it a rule. It hurts a little bit more than it would have if I would have gone out on a race where I knew I was undergunned against other athletes. Just is what it is. But I can't blame the judges. They did their job. They did exactly what they're supposed to. And I think they did a good job at it. They took it from an unbiased analytics perspective and eliminated who screwed up the most. And unfortunately, that was me. I still feel bad for Vlad because the screw-ups were all on me. But that happens sometimes. Sometimes you just go too fast and you screw up. Okay, so let's go over the 3 questions I talked about at the beginning of the episode. Do I think the elimination was fair? It's a gray area. I'll be honest, it's a gray area. Do I think the elimination was warranted? Yes, I do. 100% think that the elimination was warranted. I screwed up more than the other people. That is what it is. Would I have done it differently? Honestly, I would like to say that yes, I would have done it differently. I would have done it by the book to the T and gone off and raced my bike without checking it. But realistically, I don't know if that's a good idea. There were multiple occasions this week of riding where people came to the bottom of a mountain and were missing parts because most of the other athletes aren't mechanics. They don't work on their bikes for a living. They're not paid to do this well. So I love Vlad, but I'm not going to trust my potential well-being in life on his mechanical skills. It's not what he does for a living. Why would I? So I still stand behind what I did and how I did it. So that one's a gray area. Would I have done it differently? I honestly don't think so. I like the way I did it. I like the way I handled the entire competition. I had an awesome time. I did pretty well. There were a couple things that I wish I would have done marginally better on, but I mean, it's a competition. You're not always perfect. I think I did pretty well, all things considered. I'm super happy just to have been part of it. And for the question that everybody wants to hear, did we get to keep the bikes or not? Nope, we did not get to keep the bikes. Those bikes, and I can't blame them. One, I really didn't want to fly a bike home because flying a bike is difficult and a hassle. But 2, and for the one thing that the internet keeps asking, no, we didn't get to keep the bikes. And I can't blame them. Those bikes are crazy expensive. Like, you're looking at an Orbea Rallon, full factory, XT. You're probably through the Mayo program, you're probably north of $9,500 or so per bike. There was, I think, 12 of them on set because we had spares. Like, that's a lot of bikes. I don't blame Orbea for not giving us those. I had an amazing time. I regret absolutely nothing. I like the way that I played the contest out. Do I wish I got further? Yes. My end goal was to make it to top 3. But my goal at the start of the week was just to not get eliminated first. And I succeeded. I didn't get eliminated first. Heck, I made it to the 5th day. I made it to the top 6, top 5, whatever you want to call it. I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy with that. And now I got the opportunity to start this series as well as grow a relationship with more of you out there in the social media sphere. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad to have you, and hopefully we can do a lot of cool things in the future as I get back to racing and back to riding after my back is healed up. You can see I am no longer in a back brace, so we're headed in the right direction. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. Thank you again, Pinkbike, for having me. It was an amazing experience at the Academy, and if you guys are looking for a guest judge, a co-host, anything, you know where to call. Hit me up next year. Let's do this. I'm into it. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, please. I love having you guys on the channel and seeing all my videos. It really makes me feel good, and I hope that I am producing some content that you like as well and maybe get a little bit of inspiration from. For now, my name's Addison Zawada. I'll see you next time on episode 7.